MTC 2023 EBS Chapter 17 Number 0103. When Emma and Jessica were on one of their early trips to Germany getting Emma's treatment, Jessica went to a little gift shop and bought a book, written in German, about two friends. Emma, Jessica. She gave it to Emma back at the clinic. Emma. They flipped through it. Neither of them could understand a word of German, but they got the gist of it. It was about two women and their journey of friendship. Emma turned to Jessica and said, "You know, you should do a book like this about us." Emma, Jessica. After hearing the suggestion, Jessica didn't think much more about it at the time. Jessica. But she never forgot it. When the opportunity to write a book was actually presented, Jessica had to think long and hard about it. Jessica. During the past 2 or more years that she and Emma had been on this journey together, she had protected her friend like a mother lioness guards her cub. Emma too. Am I doing the right thing by sharing a lot of our private moments? She thought. Emma's health took a turn for the worse, and Jessica could no longer seek her input. Emma, Jessica. So she turned to her friend Ryan for his advice. Ryan was positive and supportive. Ryan. You have to do it. He said emphatically. It will be a wonderful tribute to her. He was extremely reassuring. It helped Jessica make up her mind. Jessica. She felt comfortable with her decision. The book would honor Emma in the way that she envisioned. Emma. Jessica knew her book would make Emma proud. Jessica. Emma. Her dream was that, by the time the book was out, Emma would be better and she could present her with the first copy of it. Emma. Sadly, that didn't happen, and Jessica's wish didn't come true. Jessica. She prayed and asked God to show her the highest sense of right. What she got was that her book was a gift to others, to share through her eyes the incredible courage and spirit of Emma. Emma. She hoped she could, perhaps, give some support and encouragement not only to people fighting a disease, but also to those loved ones and friends walking the path with them. 2023 EBS Chapter 17 Number 0406. In 1963, Erasto Mbemba was a schoolboy in Tanzania. 1963 Erasto Mbemba. He and his friends loved to make ice cream at their school. They would boil milk, add sugar, let the mixture cool, and then put it in a freezer. The freezer never had enough room, so the boys worked quickly to get space in the freezer. One day, Erasto saw the freezer was filling up fast, so he put his ice cream in without cooling it first. Erasto. When he came back later, his ice cream was ready, but that of another boy, who had put in a cooler ice cream mixture at the same time, was still a thick liquid. Erasto asked his science teacher how this could be, who replied, "You were confused, that cannot happen." Erasto. A few years later, Erasto was studying heat in his high school physics class. Erasto asked the teacher how his hot ice cream mixture could have frozen before the cooler mixture. Erasto. The teacher stated that Erasto was confused. Erasto insisted that he was not confused, and the teacher said, "Well, all I can say is that is Mbemba's physics and not the universal physics." Erasto. Mbemba. From then on, whenever Erasto made a mistake, his classmates would say, "That is Mbemba's physics." Erasto. Mbemba. But Erasto began to experiment with freezing hot and cold water. Erasto. Later, a university professor, Dr. Dennis Osborne, visited the school, and Erasto told him of his experiments and again asked his question. Dennis Osborne. Erasto. The professor thought Erasto was mistaken, but he wanted to encourage the students to question things. Erasto. So he told Erasto, "The facts, as they are given, surprise me because they appear to contradict the physics I know." Aristo. Aristo continued his experiments, demonstrating to his fellow students and teachers that hot water could indeed freeze faster than cold. Aristo. Dennis also tried the experiment many times and got similar results. Dennis. Aristo Mbemba and Dennis Osborne published a paper about the unusual effect and proposed some reasons about how it could happen. Aristo Mbemba Dennis Osborne. Aristo Mbemba believed what he actually saw happen instead of what everyone expected to happen. Aristo Mbemba. Today, the unusual effect of very hot water freezing before cooler water is named for the young student who wouldn't take impossible for an answer. 2023 EBS Chapter 17 Number 0709. The day started out like any other. Rebecca Hill was walking her 3 children to school in West Sussex in the United Kingdom, when they came across a squirrel, which was not unusual in their neck of the woods. Rebecca Hill, West Sussex. What was unusual, however, was the fact that the squirrel looked to be only a few days old, and that it had clearly not eaten in a while. In other words, the baby squirrel looked in danger of dying right then and there. Hill and her family were real animal lovers who already had laid claim to 2 cats named Sugar and Spice, and so after dropping her children at school, Rebecca scooped up the squirrel and took it home, where she named it Chestnut. Hill Sugar Spice, Rebecca, Chestnut. Then she tried to feed him from a baby bottle. Unfortunately, the critter wanted nothing to do with it. That's when Rebecca's husband, Martin, came up with an idea. Rebecca Martin. Sugar and Spice had each given birth to a litter of 5 kittens for a total of 10 a couple of weeks earlier, so maybe they could slip the squirrel in between the kittens and the nursing moms wouldn't notice. Sugar Spice too. They decided to give it a chance. To facilitate the process, Martin came up with a novel solution. Martin. He decided to spray some of Rebecca's perfume on the babies so that the cat wouldn't automatically view the squirrel as a threat to her and her babies, but rather a familiar part of the household. Rebecca. He figured that after a certain point, the cat's motherly instincts would kick in and both mothers would view the squirrel as just another one of the kittens. After soaking the squirrel with perfume, they set Chestnut in among the kittens and watched and waited. Chestnut. I was worried they might turn against him, but I watched them for a couple of hours and Chestnut was happily suckling, Martin reported. Chestnut. Martin. Within a few days, both Sugar and Spice were feeding and grooming Chestnut as if he was one of the litter. Sugar Spice Chestnut. I'm sure Chestnut thinks he is a cat and the cats think so too, Martin added. Chestnut. Martin. I found both cats after they'd been dumped in a plastic bag, so perhaps they look after Chestnut because they know what it's like to be abandoned. Chestnut. 2023 EBS Chapter 17 Number 1012. To think that ships can only fight battles on water and that cannons can only fire shells or cannonballs is certainly untrue. Just a few years after the American Civil War, the U.S. gunboat Iroquois was sent to the Horn of Aconcagua in the waters off Chile at the request of the Chilean government, who feared revolution. Iroquois Aconcagua. It was hoped that the sight of an American warship might calm all thoughts of uprising. Wrong. For more than a year it patrolled the waters, and the rumblings of unrest continued on the land. 1. After this mission, just as Captain Alexander and his crew were making preparations to return home following orders from the U.S. government, there was an earthquake, swiftly followed by a tidal wave. Alexander. The Iroquois was picked up and carried more than 2 miles inland by the wave before being dumped unceremoniously on Chilean soil. Iroquois 2. Fortunately for the crew, it was flat-bottomed and landed the right way up. No one was killed. All about them lay the wrecks of other grounded wooden vessels. These soon attracted looters, people who wanted to steal anything they could lay their hands on, and they eyed it with interest too. Fearing attack, Captain Alexander needed to find a way to keep the looters at bay. Alexander. He was reluctant to fire at unarmed looters, but, when they gathered and prepared to board, he knew he must do something and ordered the firing of the cannons. This presented another problem. Despite having plenty of gunpowder, the crew couldn't reach the ammunition in the damaged ship. It was buried somewhere below decks. The solution was a remarkable one: to fire the big round cheeses stored in the ship's galley. These were quickly loaded into the cannons with the gunpowder and were ready for firing. Soon cannonball-sized cheeses were hurtling into the looters, eventually causing them to scatter and to flee. The Iroquois was down but not out. Iroquois. It was later officially recorded as being lost in action and never put to sea again, but what a way to go. MTC. Good job.